Hey everyone, just to give a quick heads up, we'll be answering a super chat question out of this. If you don't know what super chat is, it's a thing like you buy into on YouTube now, and your chat will stand out. You're like, where we see it, I don't know what it looks like on you guys' end in the chat, but over on our end it like sticks out in green. So luckily it saves those entries for us because they go by really fast on here. So we do have one saved, and we'll answer it at the end of this once we get done reviewing the movie. So we went to go see War for the Planet of the Apes, and when I got here, I actually bought tickets to, I was telling you this when you got here, I got tickets to the one guy in the chat, hi Brad and Brian, because you have a beard and glasses.
Oh, fuck! Oh, fuck it. Yeah, Brian's more likable than me. I'll take it.
So, like, we get here. I actually paid for tickets for the 2D screening for this movie, and I'm glad I saw this when I did. Actually, not that it would have mattered. I would have had time to exchange it anyway. But they put the 2D showing for this over in the really tiny theater in there, and I could already see a lot of people walking in there, and I walked in, I'm like, what's it look like in there? It was about half full, which for that theater is cramped, and I knew this was a longer movie, and I knew this was going to be an epic film, so I'm like, I don't want to see, I'll pay the extra $6 for 3D to see it on a much bigger screen.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
No, thankfully, even the smaller screens, not the one with the shitty sound. But still.
Oh, yeah, not the one with the shitty sound over at Parkway. The sound in the smaller theater here is fine. Like, in the screen itself, it's fine. Like, it's the kind of Brian and I are seeing Wish Upon tomorrow. It's the kind of screen that would be perfectly fine to see Wish Upon.
Oh, yeah.
Not War for the Planet of the Apes, which is about 2.5 hours long, and should be seen on the biggest screen that you could possibly find.
Yeah, so Brad ended up getting us 3D tickets to see it.
Yeah.
Which, it was the better screen to see it on. Quite frankly, you don't need 3D for this movie. It's completely unnecessary, and quite frankly, I probably would have preferred it in 2D.
Well, if the choice of 2D was on that other screen in there,
right? No. You made the right choice.
But I know what you mean. Yeah, like say the 2D screening was on one of the bigger screens in there. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Like that's why I went ahead and bought 2D at first anyway. I don't know why it wasn't on the bigger screen in there, to be perfectly honest. I don't know what the selection process is of choosing which screen some of these go on.
Well, and now that they've made one of the theaters in here an IMAX theater, I mean that probably has to change the way that they choose what goes where, because why put anything in the IMAX theater that's
not an IMAX? Yeah.
So that cuts one of the theaters out.
Which leaves about 3 or 4 bigger screens in there, and Spider-Man is still playing over in the IMAX.
And Spider-Man's still going to be making a shit ton of money this weekend.
Oh,
on
yeah.
Other screens, too. So,
as far as these movies go, these Apes remake prequel movies, the first one came out, we did a midnight screenings of it. The first year we did the midnight screening, so like 2011, I think.
I think it was the second year, because I was there for that one, I'm pretty sure.
No.
Was I not? I could have sworn
Rise.
I was.
You weren't there for Rise. I believe Rise was, unless you were in the car and you didn't see the movie, but Rise was like me, Irving, and Sarah reviewing it. Unless you were there and just didn't, and were maybe at something else that night.
I don't know.
Well, the first one came out, Rise, and Sarah and I thought it was fine. Like, it had some silly shit in it, but I remember us thinking it was fine. Dawn comes out. I was just at Dawn by myself when that one came out. Went to go see Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Again, thought it was fine. It was a movie that every character and piece of dialogue in it was there to serve its purpose, to provide whatever function it was providing. There was nothing bad about that. It was, I don't know, I remember sitting there through Dawn. Both Dawn and Rise I haven't seen since they came out.
Neither have I remember that being okay with both of them, but in the long run, honestly, I thought they were, well, especially after watching this one, I thought they were both rather forgettable.
I remember them kind of going in one ear, out the other for me, and I remember with Dawn thinking, if I felt like there was some genuine conversations going on this, or maybe a little bit of, I don't know if charisma is the right word, but it's something else other than these characters are all providing the function that they're there to do. It was certainly a dark movie. It was certainly a bleak movie. And the acting was fine. There was just really nothing about it that made me love that movie. Whereas this one's
fantastic.
I loved this movie.
Yeah. No, this was riveting.
Yeah.
Goddamn riveting. And they did some stuff that, like, in a lot of movies I would find kind of hokey or played and dumb.
Uh-huh.
But it worked so well.
It did. It really worked. Take Bad Ape, for instance, who Steve Zahn plays in this, and he's the one you see in the blue vest in the trailer. Has
kind of bald.
Yeah, like this Burgess Meredith looking ape. So he's very funny in this. The humor that is in this movie comes from him, and it is something that was lacking in Dawn, was just a tiny little bit of humor or something. Yeah. Not that it needs to be a fucking comedy by any means or anything like that. But whenever Bad Ape was on screen in this movie, I was thinking like, man, because the Rise I remember having a tiny little bit of humor or something in it. Dawn, not so much. This one, a little bit with his character. He doesn't overstay his welcome by any means.
No, but every time he pops up, you're like, oh, here comes a laugh. You know?
It's true, yeah.
It's not so far as, like, Jar Jar Binks bad.
No, God, no.
Character. But it is definitely, like, in a live-action movie, it's just like if you were casting this role, it'd be like, it is a live-action movie, I'm sorry, but if it weren't fucking monkeys, you know, it's just like, all right, who would be playing Bad Ape right now?
Jimmy Simpson.
Yeah. Something like that, like one of those guys, like DJ Qualls or some shit.
Yeah, it was made like about 15 years ago.
Yeah, no, it's that kind of role, you know.
The Asa Butterfield now. Yeah,
and in better movies, that character usually played by Steve Zahn. Okay, so they got Steve Zahn.
Mm-hmm. And it's not the first time we've seen Steve Zahn in an internment camp film.
No. No.
This movie is so good. It makes you think. It makes you hate bad movies that are playing in theaters right now even more.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, all right, yeah, Transformers 5 sucked, because of course it did. And when you watch a movie that's this good, that's this cinematic, that is a reason why you go see movies in the theater, god damn, it just makes you want to see those other movies. Just eat a dick. Just eat a bag of dicks.
Well, and even beyond that, it's past just wanting bad movies to eat a bag of dicks. It's just kind of like, I'm a comic book nerd. I'm a fucking fanboy.
Yeah.
And last week we saw Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a perfectly serviceable movie.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was brilliant, but I thought it was a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
But compared to two other movies that are playing in this theater right now, one we saw tonight and one we saw a couple weeks ago, Baby Driver, which I seriously thinking about going to see again. And I never see movies in theater twice.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm the same way.
But I want to see Baby Driver again before it leaves theaters.
Yeah.
Like, I love Spider-Man, and, like, part of me wants to be like, go see Spider-Man, but
yeah,
there's two far better movies playing in theaters right now.
I recommended Spider-Man too. I did really enjoy that. I did really enjoy that movie. And if you go see a lot of movies in theaters, yeah, I definitely recommend that movie. As far as the movies that I've seen this summer, the big tentpole movies, this one by far and away the best of the big summer weekend blockbuster movie. This one, hands down, like, it is the Apocalypse Now of Apes movies, and I'm so glad that exists.
It references Apocalypse Now in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This movie is
Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, and oh god, at the beginning, this movie references Bedtime for Bonzo, which is amazing. At the opening of the movie, where they have like, you know, like Full Metal Jacket was like Born to Kill on the back of their helmet. You saw a little bit of this in the trailer, where it says like Monkey Killer, Bedtime for Bonzo, like Extinct Species or something like that. Like, this is a brutal movie. And what this movie does so well, One, kind of like how Rise was basically an updated Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, but I actually like Conquest better than I liked Rise. This is like Battle for the Planet of the Apes, but a million times better.
Yeah.
Like,
this was some weird love letter to not only Planet of the Apes, but also like every fucking war movie ever made from every era.
oh yeah, it's Civil War movies between the humans. It's a World War II like internment camp film. Like, hell, there are parts where Woody Harrelson comes out. He might as well be Ray Fiennes from Schindler's List in a couple of scenes.
Oh shit! And also, you know, he might as well be fucking Kurtz.
Colonel Kurtz, yeah.
Coming out shaving his fucking head on a balcony.
Holy shit! While the national anthem is playing.
Yeah.
Fuck me, this movie is cinematic, epic awesomeness is what this movie is. Woody Harrelson in this film, aside from being scary as fuck, in years after this movie is released, Woody Harrelson's character in this, certainly along with Caesar, are going to be seen as iconic characters of this series. Not just these 3 movies, but the other 5 as well, but the original movies as well. And they do throw in nods to the original in this, but far better than Rise did. Because Rise had them crowbar in, like, damn dirty apes into Tom Felton's dialogue, which was awkward.
Yeah.
This one throws in, one of them's name is Cornelius, the girl with the,
Nova.
it says Nova. Because it is outside Rise is essentially a remake of Conquest. Like, while you're seeing similar things kind of happen in these 3 movies, in Rise it references the astronauts going up and things like that. It does seem to be that while, like, similar things are happening in this movie's continuity, that they are 2 different continuities between the original 5 and these 3.
Yeah, it's kind of like doing a remake, but they're like, let's do a bunch of prequels first.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, too, they could end this. Honestly, they need to end the series right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to make money, and they're going to be really tempted to be like, all right, we did these, now let's do Planet of the Apes. But
I hope they don't.
Just fucking don't.
I hope they. I mean,
and if
it's the same team doing it, you know what? I mean,
Matt Reeves is moving on to Batman.
True. Yeah, he's moving on to Batman.
But that's the other thing too, because if they could do Planet of the Apes after this, like, they're gonna have to change some things about Planet of the Apes, and it's gonna have to be more of a social commentary movie, because these movies do not set up the apes to be the bad guys.
No, they don't. They don't at all. Which, again, like I said, if it's the same team of people doing it, like, it's certainly in good hands.
Yeah.
But I don't think... I would be surprised if they would go that route, because the way this ends, it's a trilogy. Like, this... It is... The first one, second one, and this one are a 3-piece arc.
It tells a complete story, yeah. No, it's Caesar's story.
Yeah. It is, and it ends like you kind of figure it probably will end, and how it kind of has to, and it is rather beautiful and poetic how they do it, because this does have a very talented team of people behind it, and what happens at the end, even like what we were talking about earlier with
it's a trilogy. It's got a beginning and an end. Okay, and if you're following a trilogy for one. You know what's gonna happen, guys. It's fairly obvious 5 minutes into the movie,
and it's done incredibly well, because you could see, like a character like Bad Ape, you can see that going wrong in the wrong hands.
Oh yeah,
same with the ending of this
definitely
movie.
See Bad Ape going wrong, and like, and to be honest, a few more, like, if they had given him a few more notes, it could have gone real wrong. Like, it was on the fucking razor's edge at times. You know, every time he went, uh-oh, it was just like, oh, fuck, if you say SpaghettiOs. You know? It's...
Yeah, well, thankfully.
You know what I mean, though.
This
like,
movie-
they're on the razor. They were really pushing their luck with that character.
I appreciate the balls with that, though. I do.
Yeah.
Because this movie, it doesn't play anything safe. It throws in stuff like that to see if it can do it well, and it does. This movie even has a scene of monkeys throwing shit on people, and it does it incredibly well.
Yeah.
I love this movie. I absolutely love this movie.
Fantastic.
God, there was haunting imagery in this movie.
Oh, and beautiful cinematography, and just great camera work, good lighting.
The first time you see Woody Harrelson going down that waterfall with that war paint on his face, fuck me. It's like I said. I was sitting there looking at it, going like, "Fuck, this is like the apocalypse now of Apes movies." And again, that's awesome. And the effects are damn good in this. I realize that they're bound to get better over time between the three movies. I remember not being sold on a lot of the effects in the first one. The second one, I honestly can't remember.
The second one, it was getting there, and I think by being like choosing the locations they chose and some of those things, I think they were able to utilize the effects that they had to a better degree. In this, like, there was a few moments where I was like, okay, like, they looked better in other scenes. There was a few moments, but for the most part, fuck, it's stunning.
Like, for the most part, you're sitting there looking at all of these apes, thinking that that's what it is. That's an ape standing there and he's talking to them, or they're doing sign language with each other. It looks convincing. It looks fucking convincing. And the parts where you can certainly tell there's effects work going on are parts where I think it would have looked like that regardless of what kind of creature it was. It's stuff where they're like
overlit and sunlight and stuff like that. And
when there's a big action set piece going on.
Yeah, they're moving quick, you know.
Yeah. But even a lot of parts when like Caesar's running there at the end and he's got the grenades on him and that, like, I was far more convinced of the characters and the effects in this film than not just the last two Apes movies, but also most other movies that do this kind of effects work in the past.
No, and I agree.
Man, Andy Serkis really needs to be
needs
awarded for this film.
Fucking something. And that's, we were talking about this before we got in the car. It's like, he's an amazing performer, and I don't think anyone disputes that.
No.
But really, the thing is, and he's a fantastic performer, but this movie was honestly the first time watching one of these kind of performances where, and it might be just the nature of the character or whatever, but you could see the fucking acting underneath.
Yeah.
Like, you could see Andy Serkis, and he's so fucking good.
He's outstanding in this.
Yeah.
And
if this was a human in really good makeup, it would be an Oscar performance.
And
I think that's the problem, is that it's a digital character.
Well, I mean, it's stop motion. I mean, not stop motion, it's motion capture. I mean, he's there, he's doing, and it's so convincing in this movie that, to me, if he's nominated for this, it's the equivalent of, an actor who delivers a great performance but just happens to be under a bunch of makeup would also deserve a nomination. And I feel that way about him in this film. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. But who knows? Like, fingers crossed. This movie will most likely wind up in my top 10 favorite movies of the year, and him definitely for favorite performances.
So far it's been a good summer for movies, for the most part.
For the most part.
No, at least there's been a couple standouts. Which some summers you get through with jack fucking squat.
And the ones that were bad this summer are ones that, like, I'm surprised Transformers 5 was bad. Like, someone was like, if I went to go see something this summer and I thought it was bad, like I don't think it was surprising to me necessarily off the top of my head. But this one again, there are good movies that are playing right now. There are, but this one, easily will be the best one that you go see this weekend, especially of the big tentpole movies that are still playing right now. Definitely go see this.
Yeah,
before the other movies.
It's got no major flaws. I got a couple quibbles. They're not even worth mentioning. They're not.
I honestly, I don't. I mean, it was funny when we were talking outside of... what were we talking about outside?
About the fucking horses?
Oh. Like, would the gorilla break that horse's back? And I had to think about it. Like, I don't know. At this point in the movies, I'm used to seeing monkeys on horses.
Exactly. And, like, that's the suspension of disbelief thing. That, like...
Yeah.
You're watching the other movies, like, all the old Planet of the Apes movies. It's like, yeah, gorillas ride fucking horses.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, I looked it up, and it's possible that a gorilla can ride a horse, but probably not for very long without killing that horse. You know,
Patches!
Like, the gorilla can ride that horse for, like, a minute and a half.
I did find out that apparently in Spider-Man Homecoming, it was an 80s themed homecoming.
I read that too, and you know what?
I missed it too.
If it wasn't apparent enough that, like, if I missed that, then it must have been a really brief mention.
I missed it too.
Yeah.
Like I did too. Like maybe it was a quick. I think on one of the posters it says like it's an 80s home, but it might have gotten mentioned in dialogue somewhere. I don't know.
But still, not enough to be memorable for me not to.
I missed it. I mean, I even the other. The day we posted that, there were people telling us that, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I missed that. But let's be honest, though, even if it wasn't an 80s themed prom, it would have probably still been playing Flock of Seagulls, because that's just kind of a thing in movies where in big dances there's 80s music playing.
Yeah, that is such a thing in movies about like high school dances and shit like that. It's always 80s music, and that's fine. We both like 80s music. It's not that we have like, oh, they're playing that fucking shitty song. No, that wasn't the issue. The issue was like, really? Like, when I was in high school, we didn't play music from the fucking 60s, you know?
Well, I think even high school dances from the 60s still played 80s music.
Yeah, it's very likely. Very likely.
They would have played Venus, just maybe not the Bananarama version. No, yeah, go definitely check this out.
Yeah.
Okay, so the super chat question that I saw in the logs is from again, if you're just joining us after we started this, there's a thing on YouTube in the live streams. You might have on our end like it super chat. They're green when they come up. I don't know what it looks like on you guys' end, but you pay to do a super chat thing, and it makes your chat stick out, and it also it saves it too in case you wanted to ask us something. We probably wouldn't get to it in the actual video that you type it in, but it is saved so we could get to it next time. Like I saw one go by like about 10 minutes ago, but it went by so fast. The one I got the other day was from a YouTuber called Pieces of Work that asked simple enough question, just asked how we're live streaming this or how to go about like YouTube live streaming. And there's the YouTube app on the phone, and if you have the YouTube app on your phone, there is a live streaming option that was put in like right before we started doing these live, because beforehand I think you had to go through like this third party app. I can't remember. It was something I looked into once. Nothing really came of it. I think we were going to try to do it once for Patriots Day, but it fell through, so we just stuck the camera up instead. But if you have the app on your phone, you can live stream through your phone. And the quality is better than the camera I have. Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Good. Go see it.
About live streaming and YouTube
about live
apps.
streaming and YouTube. All I know is Brad hits a button and I make a silly face, and then a minute later
They make us do a thumbnail, like it says thumbnail will take in 5, 4, 3, so you have to pose. That's why there was that really goofy one of Allison, I think in Despicable Me, because I was like, oh shit, we gotta do this. So I quickly held up and she quickly tried getting in place to smile, and it just turned into this like blurry image. And then we just kept it anyway. You can hit retake, like for the one for the other night when we were at the Beguiled, like I was kind of dark, but Sarah was really bright and had this giant smile, and I was like, do you want me to retake that? And she saw it and started laughing and goes, fuck no, use that. I'm not sure what's coming out next week.
I don't either. I can check real quick.
Well, Brian and I are gonna go see Wish Upon tomorrow.
Ooh. Wish Upon what?
That's what we're gonna find out. I'll text you and let you know.
Oh, well.
Sarah and I are gonna try to see The Big Sick, like midway through the week, like maybe Tuesday or something.
Yeah, next week's actually kind of a big week. It's Valerian and Dunkirk.
Oh, cool. Both of those I really want to see.
Yeah.
All right, so there'll be stuff throughout there. We're pretty much starting to do all of these live now. So
because why the fuck not?
Yeah, we're starting to do all of these live now. So you can follow us on Twitter at the Cinema Snob, and like I did earlier, I typed in roughly about when we'd probably start, because it's kind of factoring in trailers and the movie time. So anyway, we'll be around. Bye.